Hey guys, welcome back to the post show. This week we talk about the announcement of the season 2 premiere of Demon Slayer, and kind of a conversation about the formatting that they're doing for that. We talk about Dave's reading of the Full Metal Alchemist manga. I go over Star Wars Visions and how I feel about that. Dave, per my recommendation, checked out Vivy Fluorite's Eye Songs. We talk about that at length. And then again, this week we're still talking about Sonny Boy. Penultimate episode was a great one, or a little spoiler for the episode. And we talked to Matrix and Naruto and Mr. Robot, and we kind of go on a tangent with audiobooks and Lord of the Rings, and just a really, really good fun one. So anyways, thanks for listening, guys. And again, we talk about it in the show, but we'll be back predominantly just for the post show for the next 6 weeks or so on the Fridays, and then every second Wednesday we're going to be doing an anime movie night, and so we're going to keep it a secret as to what is going to be next Wednesday there. So again, thank you guys for listening. Have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye.
Oh, hey there, Frayne.
Hey Dave.
How you doing there, fella?
I feel better 25 weeks later.
We just wrapped the 25th and last episode of My Hero Academia Season 5. We made it out the other side.
Yeah, I feel like I can breathe again.
I had like a joke that I wanted to make, but the opportunity didn't come up in that podcast. It's not even a very good one.
I'll laugh, guaranteed.
I appreciate you. I was gonna say, if we plugged My Hero Academia Season 5 into the moist meter, the results would be tepid tap water. You didn't laugh. You said you said you would laugh, and then you didn't. So you're just a liar now.
I like tepid tap water.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's over. Grant and I were joking around, like, the next thing we're gonna cover is gonna be Demon Slayer Season 2. But that's not going to be for some time, so we're going to keep the post show going, because Demon Slayer Season 2 doesn't really start. The new arc doesn't start till early December. They're going to be more or less rehashing the movie with some fun additives until then. But
I think that's a good spot to jump right into, because there is quite some internet discourse over this, and I'm curious to see like what my initial reaction was kind of, what the fuck. Mm-hmm. But now that I've had time to cook with it, and it kind of makes a lot more sense. It makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. I think the way they're rolling this out. So for anyone listening, if you didn't, we kind of talked about it in this week's My Hero episode. If you haven't read the news, what they're doing is they're breaking down the movie into an unspecified amount. They have not said how many episodes it's going to be, but we know it's probably going to be 22, 23 minutes an episode. Mm-hmm. And there's a new episode, a brand new content opening it up, starring Rengoku. And then there's new scenes filtered in throughout. So probably 6 or 7 episodes. Yeah. Give or take.
Yeah.
So they're doing that for a few months, or for a month and a half. And then in December, Season 2 comes out. But if they're throwing in new stuff, and a lot of people haven't been able to watch them, because that's the thing, it's coming to Crunchyroll too. It was only on Funimation as the movie. More people are going to be able to get their eyes on it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it really matters, if it's going to be the movie or if it's going to be the show, because at the end it's all canon, right? Does it matter?
Yes. So I appreciate your positive outlook. I think you're right to a degree. Yeah. At the end of the day, you need to get the story in. You need to make sure that the audience is caught up, right? I think you could, make the argument that most people that care about Season 2 will have seen the movie.
Sure.
But, it's also fair to say maybe not everybody has access to the movie, and this is, a good way to repedal some stuff. I think, I'm sure that the internet was butthurt over it and probably over exaggerated and
big time. It was some excellent Saturday morning reading, I'll tell you that.
and it'll be what it'll be, right? That's we just finished, like I said, we just wrapped on My Hero Season 5, for God's sakes. We're no stranger to outrage.
Yeah.
But that said, I will say, just having, at the outset, one of the best things about the Demon Slayer movie, because there are a lot of anime movies, and the biggest problem with them is they're not canon, right?
Sure.
The best part on paper when we got this news about Demon Slayer doing a movie was that it was going to be Demon Slayer Season 1, Lightning in a Bottle, followed by a feature-length international film that was canonical, and then followed up with Season 2. And it was all going to flow. And now it's like, well, you're sort of giving me the same shit twice, and, like, it's not quite the epic, like, 1, 2, 3 combo that I thought it was, because you're sort of, like, peddling the same thing to me twice. Does that make sense?
So you're saying you think it's stealing all the smoke from that it had as, like, you know, breaking all these records? You think it's taken away from the legacy that it had?
No, I don't think so. I just think it definitely doesn't take away from the movie, because we covered the movie. We love the movie. It's one of my favorite ever. But I, like, you know, I think it's fair to say it would have been optimal to just jump into new content. The movie was so damn good. It ended so strongly that people, I think, are really hungry to see what's next. You know, the international release of this movie was like nearly a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's a very much like a having your cake, eating it too take. That's if I have to be picky. In reality, I mean, probably not that big a deal. You know, if I could choose, I would cut. I wouldn't do all of it again. I would have an episode maybe of recap.
Sure.
Not 6 or 7 weeks, but, like, you know, whatever.
Well, I'm curious to see what new scenes they throw in. It'll be kind of cool because I think they're doing it week to week, which is kind of fun. It's like a new, you know, you and I have talked about it before, like getting rewatching a show and getting a new set of eyes. Like, you know, like Leanne and I we're currently I'm rewatching Demon Slayer. She's watching for the first time. This is kind of timing out. We're going to be going from season 1 right into Mugen Train.
Lucky bastard.
You know, so it's kind of like it flows that way, and we'll watch that week to week. Like, you know, Leanne and I watched the movie, but, you know, all I can think of is, you know, again, spoilers to the next few seconds for anyone listening who hasn't seen Mugen Train. But, like, you know, when I saw this announcement and I read the news, all I could think of is, well, how dope is it going to be at the end of the episode when Tanjiro like fucking cuts his head off? You know. And then it's just like boom, like we know, but like the episode's gonna ramp up to that at the end of a 20-minute mark of that emotional moment that he had, and I think it's just gonna be a nice new way to kind of watch what we've seen. And again, if there's new stuff they've thrown in, and I don't know, I think
I read somewhere that it was like 70 new scenes interspersed between the movie. So it sounds like they may have cut a lot for time and a lot of extra stuff that they may have punched up enough to be aired on TV. So it sounds like it's worth watching anyway.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I just like had to choose, my choice would be jump right in. But at the end of the day, we get more Demon Slayer, which we've been talking about wanting all year.
Yeah.
And we're obviously, you know, so I think, I don't know if we said this already, we probably won't cover, those first few episodes week to week, but when the new arc, I think it's called the Entertainment District arc, starts, and December 5th, roughly, is when that's supposed to air, we will probably cover that week to week. Is that fair to say, Graham?
Yeah, we kind of made the declaration on the My Hero pod this week, but fucking Attack on Titan starts in January. So either we're double billing, like 3 pods a week, because that's the thing. I do want to give each their, the post show. Like, we're not giving up the post show because you and I have the most fun here in this venue, but I do want to give Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan their due, or we double them up. Who knows? Because they air the same night. That's the thing. Yeah, they're both gonna be Sunday premieres. So
I think we'll just have to see. We'll have a better idea the closer we get to it. But having too much amazing anime to juggle is a good problem to have. So I'm sure you guys will be along for the ride with us. Okay, that's the Demon Slayer news.
Yeah,
let's talk about, or actually I'll give you a quick update, Grant, because I opened the show with it last week, and I will just very briefly touch on my first manga experience. So I bought Full Metal Alchemist Volume 1.
Yeah. You've since bought 2, 3, 4, and 5?
No, I haven't gone crazy. It's funny though. I did stop in that store today. I was like, "Do you have volume 2?" But so the one thing that Grant and I knew, but not necessarily intimately, was that like, even though there might be one volume of a manga, there's often several chapters, or even if it's one chapter, it might span multiple episodes, or maybe multiple episodes span one manga volume. It just sort of depends on how it's paced. So I think there's only like 17 or 20 something or 30 something volumes of Full Metal Alchemist.
Only.
And yeah, and it ought to be real cheap when I buy them all separately.
Yeah.
But there's like 3 or 4 chapters in a single volume, and the first 2 I knew really intimately because they were very similar to the pilot of the show.
Okay.
And it was almost like lifted word for word, a lot of the stuff. Just now am I getting into a chapter that wasn't actually pictured or not depicted in the show.
So,
anyway,
see, there you go. I knew it's like watching it all over again.
Dude, it's I think one thing that I've taken away from it, and I definitely got to check out the Attack on Titan manga once we wrap the show.
Big time. Yeah.
Because I gotta say, like, this looks like so much work. Like, it's the same for the Attack on Titan guy. Is it Akiyama? I don't want to get his name wrong. Isayama. He does. That's the Attack on Titan author, and I forget the girl's name who does Full Metal Alchemist. But both, for many manga authors, it's the same case where they do story and art. All of it bleeds out of one person's pen, and these are busy pages, busy panels with a lot packed into it. The world building is one thing, the art direction is another, and like trying to convey things like humor and serious themes in a page, like, I've just never really read anything like this. Like I think a few weeks back I gave a brief review of some novels that I'd read, and I'm much more of a novel kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I've never read anything like this. So it's a blast. It's so different. And like the one thing that rings the most true to me is that the anime did a perfect job adapting the tone of Full Metal Alchemist. Like the anime is like it's like the pages are coming to life, which is I think what you want from an adaptation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like it's written the same way. Like I can hear the voice actors in my head when I'm reading it, and she even draws the comedy the same way the anime animates them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Really bold, harsh lines, with really when there's really intense scenes, and then like she draws the same characters completely differently when there's a comedic moment.
I love that.
Dude, it's really cool. I never thought I would be into it. But now I think like I'm probably going to be on this journey with Full Metal Alchemist, but I think it'll probably be a bit of a long-term project. Like,
you want to take your time.
I don't want
something like that.
Burn through it like an anime, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you got to pay for them each volume.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess it is pretty expensive, even that, because I'm such. I hate the overusage of like the statement of someone being OCD, but I get exceptionally anal when it comes to like book formatting sizes.
Yeah.
And the thought of having like a big volume of like covering like, a bunch of stuff and then going down to like get that one odd one you couldn't find in a book or whatever, and it's just, that's what I like about manga. Everything seems to be consistent. Like the whole series consistently stays the same, like, stuff like that. But it's you definitely started with volume 1. You got to keep going at that pace now. So.
Yeah, because I'm the same way. I don't know if I really want to buy like a combo volume 1 now that I have like a single volume. I don't know. First world weeb problems, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. We've leveled up though, Dave.
Yeah, man, we're on our way.
We're reading manga.
All right, what you got? What you got, son?
We checked out. Leanne and I checked out Star Wars Visions, which came out last week.
I touched a little bit too. There you go.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what you think of it. It is it's fine. There's nothing, again, mind you, we only got through the first 4 episodes, Leanne and I kind of just looked at each other and we're like, this is it's fucking enough of that for one night. It was just, we were not. The first episode was cool. I really like the again. So if anyone listening who hasn't heard, like, it's been all over the friggin' news. Star Wars Visions is an anime anthology series that Disney is doing, and each episode they're about range from 15 to 20 plus minutes. They're all done by separate studios, anime studios. And so I said I think there's 9 in total. We watched the first 4.
Nice.
Only one flat out we're like, that was cool. And then again, it's not canon, like it's nothing to do with that, like it's kind of just their own unique stories and like their own world creation, which is nice.
I'll chime in real quick and just say it's worth noting for you and for the listener that you and the missus are like Star Wars aficionados at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen, I don't want to say virtually all the content out there, but you've seen, a lot of the animated series. You've seen Rebels and Clone Wars and all that stuff. You're coming into this, pretty fresh off of watching all of that stuff. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and like
so you're a very
legitimately
informed viewer.
Legitimately excited too. It wasn't, we were just like this. And you and I, how many times did you and I use the words "dead ringer" when they announced this? I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what Star Wars should have been doing years ago. And again, we're not finished, so I don't want to completely do it. But I will tell you the one thing I flat out fucking hate is the celebrity voiceover embedding into this. It is so atrocious, Dave.
Dude, I wanted to okay, wait, so here's my first question.
Bad.
Here's my first question. Did you did you watch all these in English?
We got through the first 3, and there was one, it had Alison Brie and Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh.
And it was so bad. At least Alison Brie was trying to do something a little. It was Neil Patrick Harris. I've never seen a more phoned-in performance in my life, like voice-wise. It was just, anyways. So then we went to
the first 3 you watched. Was that in English?
It was in English.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's, I had thought maybe that's how Disney was presenting it to us.
Yeah.
Because how
I was confused about that because I watched one episode, but it was in Japanese.
So I believe the first one is.
Oh, okay.
So by default,
that was intentional.
Yeah, I think so. Or that's not even true. The first one was in English. Now that I think about it, but because it does this thing when you go into the subtitle section or in audio settings, it'll say English original, and I was like, okay, maybe that's how they wanted to do it. But then I noticed in the credits of the third episode, the one that had it was Studio Trigger did that one, so it visually looked very cool. I thought there'd be more action. I thought it would look cooler. Anyway, I was a little disappointed with that. But I noticed in the credits, because if there's one bad thing that Disney does is they jump right to like the next episode too early. It's like the Netflix problem.
Yeah, they want you to binge, right? So they don't
give you enough time. Yeah. And I like going through the credits. I like to see little Easter eggs or people worked hard on this. I don't mind watching through till it auto plays to the next one. I'm not in that much of a rush. But I noticed in that third episode, it said English voice cast, and then it immediately went to Japanese voice cast, and then it went to like technical stuff. So I was like, oh, they've made this for both audiences.
Yeah.
So I think the plan is to go back and rewatch the first 3 episodes in with Japanese, like with subs. So, but again, god awful. Like the English voice acting is just.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, the world's, just because some of the episodes we saw weren't exactly... Again, I mind the first and the fourth were really good. Did not care for the second and the third one. But we still have a few more to go. We're definitely going to jump back in, but it's just fine. Like I said, the only blatantly bad thing in our opinion is just the voice acting, because it was pretty grating. Yeah, it was. I was kind of surprised. I was like, "Whoa, this is the angle you guys went with on this." But
yeah, that's I mean, that's kind of unfortunate though, man.
Yeah.
Let's just stay in that for a sec. Like, we reacted to the trailer on this podcast weeks or months ago, and I think we both the take that we both agreed on was this is one of the best things about the Disney acquisition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the exploration of new content that doesn't necessarily have to be sequential about and in the main trilogy or saga of all the movies out there. Like obviously, I think one of the coolest takes out there is the Mandalorian, right? Like everybody's happy about the Mandalorian, and that doesn't happen without the Disney acquisition. And like it sounds like a total dream, being like, hey, here's 9 animation studios and they all get to do Star Wars.
That is the standout. That is the nice thing, to see each studio's style completely like be showcased with Star Wars material. Like that, the core idea is still tremendously fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was just so jarring, and it was hard to like really enjoy what we were watching because the voices were so great.
Some of the execution for you really missed, it sounds like.
And just in the audio department, like the music sounds, or I guess the voice department, but like each studio has their own take and style. Like I'm not gonna knock an animation style for a studio that's clearly their thing.
Yeah.
And they have again, the budget is there. Like it's clear. It's clear as day.
Right?
Yeah. It's
Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
They're
not,
but, they're not going to knock you for asking for a couple more pages worth, right?
Yeah, but
drawings worth.
The exciting thing, the thing I'm looking forward to is I've read, the general consensus is there's one specific episode that is the absolute standout, and we get to see that one yet. So I'm curious to see that.
Don't tell me which one it is.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Interesting. But yeah, so Star Wars Visions.
I saw episode 1. I saw it in Japanese, and I really liked it.
It was pretty cool.
It was pretty great. I think I'll just say like it was cool, and I think the only reason that episode got to exist the way it did is because Disney was like, well, we're spreading our risk out a little bit. Like we're doing 9 of these fuckers, so we're giving everyone giving everybody a little bit of creative freedom, do whatever the hell you want. And I appreciate that I don't know which studio did episode 1, but I appreciate that they were like, no, we're doing the black and white thing, and we're gonna make it weird.
It's like a Kurosawa film.
Yeah, I read that actually. But yeah, I appreciate that they went for it. I loved the art style. I love the use of color when they used it on lights and blasters and lightsabers, and that they were like a little bit extra with some of the lightsaber design. Like it was a little bit out there.
Yeah.
But like I was like, fuck it. It's anime. It's a one-off. The point is that there are no questions, or that there are no answers rather to these questions, and that you just have to sort of experience it. Mm-hmm. It was a good start for me. I think so. I got 2 minutes into episode 2, and I was like,
number 2 is the worst by far.
And I turned it off. I was like, you know what? I'm happy about episode 1, and I'm gonna leave happy. Yeah. I'm not gonna go and try and binge this right now.
We both really, really liked episode 4. Okay. That's the last one we saw. That I think we kind of stopped because we're on a high note here. I think let's just take a break and we'll come back to it next week, kind of thing. Which is the plan. So, yeah.
And there you go. Yeah. How about this? To greener pastures, to more positive things of note. I think I got the W because did I recommend Sonny Boy, or did we just find it like together? I can't remember.
I think we both. Oh, you know what?
Or it might have been To Your Eternity I recommended.
It was definitely. I can't remember.
Anyway, who cares? No one's keeping score. What I was gonna say is I must give you props this round.
Okay.
I've given another one of your recommendations a go, and this one was a slam dunk.
Okay.
Don't get too excited. Don't.
All right.
I can hear you getting excited over there. I can hear you getting ready to pounce.
All right. I'm leading back.
No. I'm just playing. I'm 3 or 4 episodes into Vivy Fluorite's I Song.
Fucking A, man.
Dude, this thing is.
Isn't that some shit?
Yeah, this thing is some shit, dude. What the fuck?
I've only finished episode 3, so we're kind of might be at the same point.
I might have lapped you, yeah. I'm at 3 or 4. It might be 4. God damn, dude. This is one where like it was
hard to explain. Not to cut you off, but it was really hard to tee up what it was.
Very hard to explain.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if mild spoiler warnings, or we probably won't even give any spoilers actually. because we're not super deep into it yet.
Still pretty vague. Yeah.
So I think the best synopsis I can give is an autonomous AI that is not I want to take over the world level AI, but this show's protagonist is about this AI that is pretty genuine and pretty naive and pretty is awakened in the past, knowing that she has to prevent a future apocalypse where her kind AI take over the world and snuff out humanity. So she has a companion that's from the future to help her do that. The show's title, Vivy Fluorite's I Song. Vivy Fluorite is the name. And her original programming is that she's only meant to sing a song. So she's pretty fixated on music, but obviously, so that's like a bit of a driving force for that character. But like the premise of the show is like, it's a futuristic kind of AI thing, but she's sent to kind of prevent all the AI apocalypse. But the execution isn't like anything I've ever seen. There's a lot of things that make this show its own thing. The dialogue between the characters, how the writing is done, but I think above all is the animation. It's one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a really long time.
It's absolutely like shocking.
With studio, they have some moments in this that is better than the work they did on Attack on Titan, or maybe rivals the work they did there, but it could not be more of a different visual style. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so colorful and vivid. I think at the end of episode 2, this is one where I took screenshots of.
Okay.
Because I told you, I developed that weird habit. I'm going to make a big album one of these days or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. 2021
review?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, there's some shots in this show where I'd have to pause and I'm like, look at that shit. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable. I love it.
I think I mentioned it too. It was crazy to see certain action sequences. And all I can think was like, wow, they pulled that straight out of Vinland Saga. Like that is, it almost like I wonder like if they rehashed like artwork and like kind of like threw a new coat on it,
like character models,
character model stuff like that. Which whatever, like you got to do what you got to do. But it's again I was on a bit of a cliffhanger. The last episode I saw, there was some neck snapping action. And they closed the episode out.
Yeah, okay, so I'm one ahead of you. I watched episode 4.
Okay, so it's, but yeah, it's
great though, man, and it's another strong one. Like
it's 2021, man. This is the year we've been born into anime, anime reincarnation. It's
dude, we're in it. It's I said no spoilers, no spoilers or mild spoilers. I'll say mild ones again. Like just something I love about it is like the teddy bear character and the voice acting that he does is extremely strong. The chemistry that he has with the main character, Diva / Vivy, really good. That stuff is amazing. And like we've talked about how some of these shows are really out there but yet feel grounded, and that's like the sign of just good writing and just good performances. I think what was a good example of that where it felt grounded of a ridiculous show? Sonny Boy. Yeah, which we'll get to next probably. This is out there too. Like we just said at the top, like it's so hard to explain the synopsis for this show. I mean, it's we did a decent job, but like the premise is really out there, but it all like it makes sense. I'm not sitting around confused. You know what I mean? Being like sort of unsure about what the motivations are. You look at what's happening on screen. It's like this is ridiculous and beautiful, but like it all feels really really genuine. And I just can't believe how great it looks.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing too. Like it's there's not a whole lot left. It's not necessarily a one-off season, but it's an original anime. It seems to be like a secular story. There is potential for like a sequel maybe. I don't know. We don't know where the story is going, but it's actually kind of nice. Sonny Boy was like this. To Your Eternity was a little bit longer, but Odd Taxi, these shows, they have like a short little run, and they use their time with they value their time and they're effectively using it.
Made with care.
Yeah.
Like we're here for a good time, not a long time. How many episodes is this? Do you know?
13.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I almost hope that's
or
it.
14. Sorry, 13 or 14.
But yeah, man, I almost hope that that's it, and that like they end it strong and healthily. You know what I mean? Like I think about some of the best things I've ever seen, and I think about True Detective season 1, and there's a finality to that. It was a story that was neatly packaged, and then it was over.
Yeah.
From last year, one thing that blew up, Queen's Gambit.
Oh,
Again,
some good shit.
Miniseries,
Yeah.
10
That was
episodes or whatever it was, but it was tight. It was packed full of meaning. They easily could have done season 2, but I hope they don't, because it ended well. You know what I mean?
100%.
And it feels like some of these shows are gonna do the same thing. And on that note, we should probably talk about Sonny Boy.
Oof, I think I got some slight bad news. I think my calculations were off.
I'm gonna beat you to death.
This Thursday is the finale.
Okay, yeah. If you were gonna say I didn't watch episode 11, I was gonna flip this whole podcast studio.
Wait.
I was gonna not mute it. I was just gonna throw the mic right out the window. Still recording. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Pretty confident you're right. I did some Googling after our last show, and then I was on the old Reddit, and yeah, it looks like episode 11 is the penultimate episode, which means next week is probably the finale.
Wow. This episode in particular was one of the most powerful episodes, like emotionally powerful episodes of anime I've probably ever seen. I was enthralled watching this.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was truly sad. Like, it was sad and it was happy, and it was... The show does, we've been, again, we're going to continue saying it, but like we've been so spoiled this year when it comes to emotional storytelling.
Yeah. And
To Your Eternity knocked that out of the park. Tokyo Revengers, not fucking kidding. But like
My Hero Academia season 5,
But Sonny Boy specifically, like To Your Eternity, and we had said this too. There's a lot of comparisons between To Your Eternity and Sonny Boy. They're kind of telling a similar type of story, but they're using their own ways of telling it.
Yep.
But I Sonny Boy is a lot more grounded, which is weird to say, but
for a psychological thriller, taking place in alternate dimensions.
Just watching people, like the whole process of, like, just like it opened up into music, and it's it's like a montage of them collecting stuff, and like you slowly start to realizing what they're doing, and you're like, oh, you motherfuckers, and you're just like, dude. Oh, now we're at the funeral, and obviously spoilers. Sorry, everyone. Like, knows we died last week. Come on, it's
spoiler warning for always Sonny Boy spoilers. Yeah.
But it was just and then and just the little ways, and they brought back Raj back, and what an effective way of like just because they did it really well. I forget the dog's name. But when they had his story, they had his episode. He kind of
Vico or something. Anyway,
yeah. He had he talked about his 5,000 years and what he learned across that time, and how he became a dog, and how he doesn't remember much anymore. Not because he's been older, but like the state that he kind of changed into. But like listening to Raj talk about like 2,000 years and what he's learned, there was one moment it honestly felt like it was honest to God like a punch to the heart. Where Nagara finally, has a moment. He's, going through the stages of grief, and he starts crying. And Raj, he's just like doing his thing. Like he's almost like this, unemotional, benevolent being of like, in 2,000 years, I've realized the only best thing you can do for a upset friend is just to sit beside him. Or along those lines.
Yeah, when Rajahani says that to him.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God. Wow. It was just, and this episode was just plastered with all that stuff. It was such a good episode. Oh my God.
And then them carrying the compass everywhere they go, and going up into space, and so I just want to echo everything you said, and I'll say, opening on the funeral, like you said, it's just not what we saw coming, right? We were sort of falsely led under this. We were led under these false pretenses, or into this false sense of security that everyone here was static and that we were stuck in stasis. And that maybe because of that there were no stakes. But then again, they did sort of warn us with that gun that killed those twins that death might be possible. Or not death, but evolution, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, the point is they say goodbye to Nozomi in a way. And I just didn't see that coming. You know, that I haven't done a rewatch yet, but there's this moment in episode 5 where her and Nagara swim, and they find like those water spirits, and I was like, this is like one of the best, you know, moments between two characters ever.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and now we're mourning her, and it was just such a punch, such a kick in the dick, you know, like, but you know, like, it's obscene or it's absurd that we're upset about this character that we've only known for 10 episodes, and she's not even in half of them sometimes, you know, like, I think that if you get emotional, or if you care that she's gone, and you know, there are stakes that you actually value 10 or 11 episodes in, I think this show's done something really, really, really special. Man, I downloaded the soundtrack. So many of these songs are done specifically for this show. A lot of them are original works. The OST is original. Yeah, I don't know. And I also will say, lastly, episode 10 and 11, it felt like the show was becoming a little bit more linear. Like we may be hurtling toward an ending, and especially I felt that at the end of this episode. That I don't know if all of our questions are going to be answered, but we're definitely moving towards a conclusion. I don't know if there'll be a season 2. I almost hope there isn't.
I think this would be, you know, it's hard to say, because, you know, if they ever did and they were able to tell like an equally powerful story, then you know, that'd be awesome. But
reserve judgment, right?
And you know, I don't want to call this like a take, because I don't think this show deserves to, you know, have like a take for it kind of thing. But I think one of the things I've noticed the most is, you know, Nagara was, you know, we kind of touched on this at one point a week or two ago, but like Nagara was such in a state at the beginning of the show, and you know, they kind of really hit up like the levels of grief of like people trying to come to terms with things and getting angry about it, and then, you know, being okay with where they are, and now they're leaving. So it just shows like people are getting better, and Nagara is getting better. So it kind of, you know, for a while I thought maybe he wasn't the main character. Maybe he was just a part of all of this, and it was just kind of more open. Yeah. But now I'm starting to feel like maybe this is his story again. Right at the very end, it kind of just stuck out to me, and also too, just the scene, the flashback of him and Nozomi, of, you know, when she's like, I'm not going with you guys, I'm staying. And she's like, you know, if you ever meet me again. And they're just going, he's like, well, what if we don't remember? And she's like, but this happened anyways, so like, what does it matter if we don't remember, kind of thing. And it was just like, like, God,
you gotta get me like that.
It was just, this show, I will do what I can to get a Blu-ray copy of this. I would love to physically own this show. Yeah,
there's, you know, we're gonna have to do some kind of 2021 wrap up about everything we've watched, but this one, you know, I get people, and it's pretty cool, but like I get people have been asking me lately, like, oh, you know, that you have the podcast, like, what's good? You know what I mean? Everyone just wants the cliff notes, right? Like,
sure.
And I mean, I'm guilty of that too. You know, don't get it twisted.
Sure.
But everyone's just like, what's good? It's like, it's hard to remember. You know, we talk about so much, and we watch so much, and we've been so spoiled this year. Mm-hmm. But, you know, top of mind every time right now is Sonny Boy. Yeah. Sonny Boy, Sonny Boy, Sonny Boy, Sonny Boy. Whether you've watched anime before, whether you haven't, Sonny Boy. Yeah. It's this has been something really special.
Take a chance.
You know, who knows? They have one episode left to bungle it all, but it doesn't. I've never had more faith in a show to stick the landing, or, you
because
know,
they've been beating like the beat of their own drum the whole entire fucking time.
They
you know, it doesn't matter what we think. It's you know, I agree.
Yeah, they're doing them, and like, man, has that worked out? Mm-hmm. Like, god damn, like the sound design, the music, the characters. Yeah. Nozomi. Breaking my... You would laugh. Like, if I could get a shot of how I'm like positioned right now at my I'm at my desk.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 monitors in front of me, and the background on my current one is that shot of Nozomi on the poster. And the second background is this like 3D render of the whole school twisted up.
Nice. It's got you, man. I love that.
Yeah,
I love to see it.
Yeah, I'll send them to you, or I'll put them on our Instagram or something, because the artwork in this show is just so fucking killer.
Mm-hmm.
Sonny Boy, we're gonna have a big episode next week talking about the finale.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to my movie of the week real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
Have you heard of this indie film that I think got greenlit for a trilogy, because I believe it did fairly well in the box office?
Okay.
You can smell it coming. You can feel it.
Yeah.
It's this like semi night.
It's funny because I know, and
wait, you do know?
Yeah, he's social media whore.
Oh fuck! Damn it!
But it's funny. No, keep going. I want you to try and like keep pumping it up as soon as you dare. I like that.
Okay. Listener, try and guess what I'm pumping up here. So anyway, it's this passion project indie film that got released like on the independent film strip circuit that I think might get picked up by a studio for like a theatrical release. And a rumor is they might even do like 2 more of them to round out a trilogy. And like a decent action star, really coming into his own these days. A duo of directors, and like weirdly like kind of cyberpunk, like you can see like the Blade Runner influence and like all that kind of stuff.
The anime influence, yeah.
Definitely anime, kind of grungy. I'm talking about, of course, The Matrix. Damn it, I forgot I posted that. What a fool I am.
I am all seeing.
Fuck. Yeah, so
good shit, right?
Yeah, good shit. I'm not going to go on too long. Spoiler warning about a 20-year-old movie for The Matrix. I will just say it held up completely. My missus thought that she had seen it, and then we were 20 minutes in. She's like, I've never seen this before. I was like, oh, okay. Well, now we got to crank the volume and turn on subtitles to make sure you don't miss anything. Yeah. And I'll pause every 14 minutes to make sure you're paying attention.
To mansplain it to you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think above all, what there's lots of takeaways from The Matrix, but I think the biggest one that just kept hitting me like really strongly was the commitment. Like, The Matrix is ridiculous. If you were to like tell someone that hasn't seen The Matrix about like the premise, it's like, oh, that's a hella cool premise. It may not feel original because it's like everybody talks about the simulation nowadays, but back then it was not as mainstream. But then if you keep going and you keep getting into it, and it's 90s grunge and everybody always wears leather, and there's this really intense kung fu influence, even though there's no kung fu people. And all the fight scenes even have kung fu sound effects like woven in. And, it's extra. The movie's extra as hell, but it somehow
to its benefit.
Yeah. That's my point. Is it's, for me at least, and I think most people, because judging on how successful the franchise was, it somehow never crosses the line into just ridiculous, corny nonsense. Like it just, like I was looking at Morpheus, at Lawrence Fishburne's character, walking in this scene, and the scene's fucking ridiculous. Like it's him in a simulation showing Neo, what agents are, and he's walking with his weird stance with arms both behind on his back, and they're like stacked weirdly, and he's in this like crocodile jacket, with the weird clip-on glasses, and he's walking against all pedestrian traffic, and everyone just moves out of his way perfectly, but they all hit Neo. And I'm like, this is a ridiculous scene. But like ridiculous in a good way. It's just like he nails it. Lawrence Fishburne nails it so well.
Yeah, the fish don't miss, Dave.
The fish don't miss, and I hate myself for forgetting Trinity's the actress or actor.
Not Carrie Fisher.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, I forget. I had it. I had it cocked, but it's gone now. So anyway,
it'll be back.
That whole cast just crushes so hard, and Keanu Reeves, I'm just so used to him as John Wick and not doing a whole lot of acting. But like what he needs to do in this, he does really well. Even without even considering all the stunt work in this movie, which is pretty exceptional.
Sure,
man, they just go for it. One thing I definitely didn't pick up on as a kid when I watched this was like the fucking score. The music is outrageous.
Oh, love it.
What a movie. How spoiled is this generation that we got that in the 90s when like some of the best films ever were coming out. And obviously, the reason I'm watching this is they did end up doing 2 more of those movies, which I think the cool thing to say is that they weren't as cool as the first. But I'm gonna wait to see them with adult eyes and see how I feel, because I'm prepping for the 4th.
It's the prequel thing for me. It's like I think I said before, those prequels were made for kids of our generation, or we were kids when they came out, so we held them to a certain childlike standard. Mm-hmm. And like again, they were like hard R movies, but like they had things that worked and things that didn't, like anything else. They're not great by any means, but I don't know. I think I told this story the last time we talked about The Matrix, which might have been last week or the week before, but I remember Devin and I were at a friend of his, and the DVD had just come out, and his friend's dad had just bought the DVD, and it was just sitting there, and they're like, "Do you want to watch The Matrix?" I'm like,
yeah.
And I remember seeing the commercials, and like I was way too young to go to the movie theaters, and the I think it was Devin's friend, because we watched it. We're all kids, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the best scene in the movie," and he just jumped right to, like the gunfight in the tower, like when they attack the tower to go save Morpheus.
Yeah.
And I thought like the back of my brain blasted out my head, like it was just like, oh, this is the rest of my life now. Like I have this in my pocket. It's I don't know, exceptional stuff.
I remember there's a scene in there, and I don't know if it was me or the lady that said it, but I remember there's a scene in that tower, that gunfight. It's a slow-mo of Neo doing, God, I wish I knew the right term. It's like a one-handed, what the hell do you one-handed cartwheel to pick up a gun while he's shooting with the other hand.
Yeah.
I just remember, I think I said it to myself. I was like, isn't that ridiculous? And then I was like, but in the best way. I was like, because it's the Matrix, right? I was like, it's meant like this fits in this moment, and it works nowhere else. Or in any other movie, you know what I mean? Like without maybe losing you a little bit. Man, really, really great. Super curious to see what the hell they do with Matrix 4. That trailer.
I would like to see that one with you in the theater. I think that would be the one to see. That'd be the one to make the trip up to see.
Yeah,
because it's this year, is it not?
Yeah. Maybe November, December. I think it's Christmas slated. Anyway, yes, we can work that out, because that trailer just looks, and perhaps appropriately so, it looks nothing like those movies, right? It looks much more modern, right? The grunge isn't really there. The color
Matrix repeats itself, man.
Yeah, so where the hell are they going to go?
I'm so excited.
Okay. What do you got, sir?
I just want to take a couple minutes. I went on a little journey with Leanna with some Naruto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like, I mentioned on the pod, over the weeks there, Leanna, like the masochist that she is, or say that, I always forget which one it is, but she's just been ripping through Naruto.
No, she's a masochist through and through.
By herself. The funny thing is, like, when we're recording this post show, like, Naruto is 100% playing in the other room. Like, that's her show, like, on pod nights and whenever, like, I'm working or whatever. But, so just the other night, she was kind of like, we're watching Naruto tonight. And I'm like, okay, all right. And it was fun because I've been on the she's normally on the receiving end of me, when we watch Attack on Titan or we watch My Hero, and she's like, okay, who's this and who's that? And I was like, oh, gladly. And I'm like talking, da-da-da, who's this and da-da-da. And I sat there and we watched the episode for 5 minutes. The first one that we watched together. We're in season 5, or she's in season 5, sorry. And we got 5 minutes in. I paused it. I was like, okay, I need the full story. And we sat on the couch for, honest to God, like 45 minutes and she went over all like the major points and who this person was and who the villain is and Sasuke this and Sakura that, and I remember just looking at her and like nodding my head and going, okay, and then I just resumed. And I was like, I think I'm good. I'm ready to like form. And like I had kind of like jumped in on a little like a pretty big arc, you know, a pivotal arc, I think, because even she was like, oh, this is some like, you know, this is some big shit going on right now.
Did you already say loosely what episode number this is?
This would have been, I think I jumped in season 5, episode 2 or 3.
Yeah. All right.
And but yeah, it was, yeah. So we've watched like 5 episodes. Like, you know, this was earlier in the weekend coming into the early of the week. But
and what are your thoughts?
You know, it's so funny because
for the listeners' benefit, I've never seen any Naruto. I don't think you have before this either. Have you?
I've seen like the odd episodes in the background.
Sure.
She's watched. Like I've walked in, she's finishing an episode, kind of thing. And so I've gotten a feel, but it's been mainly filler episodes I've seen, and this is the first time I've seen the juice.
Oh, and
you know, it's 100%. There's a reason why this show has such a legacy that it does, because it has these moments like this. And Leanna has said as much. There's a lot of filler in what she's seen so far, you know, and because so anyway, so like it's good. Like, you know, it's like I said, I'll repeat myself. Like there's a reason. And I got to see a glimpse of it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" You know, I was like, "This show does go places," and it's surprisingly, it's not fair to say, but Naruto does get it. It's not fair to say, but the show does kind of get this like a kiddie wrap around it, like a vibe. Yeah. It's not really that. Like, it's more My Hero than I thought.
Oh, okay.
And where it's definitely skewed to a certain demographic, but like they fit in all this other stuff. So, you know, it's one of those things. If she's watching it and I walk in the room, it's like, okay, what's going on? What are we watching? You know, like, you know, give me the deets. But it's fun.
Sub or dub?
Sub. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's one of those things. Like, it's such an endeavor. But you know, there's going to be a moment where I'm going to spin that up just out of sheer curiosity. Because it seems, I don't expect you to know this. I was just thinking out loud, like,
I don't know.
When the hell
we got
did
in
that
depth.
start?
What, the Naruto thing?
Yeah, like what?
For Leanna?
No, I mean, like, when the hell did that start airing?
Oh, it looks old. I would say early 2004 maybe.
Yeah.
Earlier than that.
Man.
1999 maybe.
Well, I was saying on the, earlier about the Full Metal Alchemist, right? Like, I was, you know, I think one reason it might be among, you know, the top rated is it's definitely been a lot of people's first anime ever.
Sure.
And I think Naruto was born in, it feels like it's from that same generation of, it's not like anime started in the early 2000s, but it feels like there are some really big ones that kicked off in and around there. Some of these series are like 20 plus years old. Like Full Metal is 20 years old now. It's crazy.
So like there's Naruto, and then there's Naruto Shippuden or Shippuden, I don't know how you say that. And then there's like Boruto, which is like the newest sequel. Even that's been on for a few years. But this first run of the original Naruto is 9 fucking seasons.
Oh my God.
Of like 24 episodes of pop. You know, it's like there's a lot. There's a lot of anime there. It's so funny too. Like we're watching it. We're watching it. And I'm like, I pause it again. I look at it. I'm like, okay, who's your fucking guy? Like, who is it? Like, I need to know, like, who's best boy, who's best girl in this. And like, without batting an eye, she's like, oh, Shikamaru for sure. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I like to hear that. You know, like, this is your show. You got your people and who you like and who you don't like, and it's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to like jumping in again for like a couple more random episodes and watching it with her. But yeah, it's killing me. It's killing me. She's watching it right now, and it's like, I'm wondering what's going on. What's going on with Sasuke? You know,
that's funny. At potential risk of turning that smile into a frown. Yeah. Did you ever get the chance to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Oh, we have not. Leanna listened to the pod. She's like, not ready yet.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's going to be funny if like you get around to it and you're like, Dave, this is great. What are you talking about?
Oh.
Anyway, I've kind of given up on it. Like, it's just been I had like my reasons for the pilot that I thought weren't great. But then like the rest of the season has just sort of been like kind of fizzly. It's also only 10 episodes.
Oh, yeah, you had mentioned it was short.
Yeah, I think like... I don't know. I'm a little bit close to it, and I hate giving things bad reviews. So I was like looking for you to like tell me if I was crazy or not. There's no pressure. Whenever you get to it, you let me know.
I will let you know. I got something else I've been watching, which we'll talk about later. But I think you're gonna be more excited that I'm watching that than Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So
I don't actually have a lot else right now on my radar. So fire away.
So, I went to go turn on the TV the other day, and I kind of just said to myself, I said, you know what, it's time.
God.
It was a show I started watching earlier in the year, loved it, but I needed to cleanse a little bit. I felt grody by the end of the second season. I've jumped back into Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot. Yep.
Yeah. And this is gonna sound so strange. It's such a specific props I want to give to the creators of the show.
Yeah.
It's been months since I finished the second season. Because actually, that's not true. I got an episode and a half, 2 episodes into the third season. And I was like, I don't want to start season 3 over. I'm just going to pick up with episode 3. And kudos to whomever does the recaps on that show. But that was some of the most effective explanation of what has just happened in this season so far, and then dipping into previous seasons.
Nice.
I was like, oh shit, we're ready to ride. We're good. And I jumped right in, and I can't put it down. It's
really?
beautiful, and it's tremendous. And it's like I told you then, I didn't stop because I wasn't digging it. It was just this is fun. That was a heavy ending to the second season.
Yeah, the whole show is pretty heavy. Yeah. We've talked about this quite a bit over the last few weeks of the post show, but just about shows that are geared better towards week to week versus being binged. I'm gonna binge the hell out of Sonny Boy when this thing wraps up. And Vivy Fluorite's Eye Song, bingeable. Demon Slayer, bingeable. We're gonna do Demon Slayer season 2 week to week, and we'll have to see how that stands up.
Yeah.
But man, Mr. Robot, you need the break sometimes.
Big time.
I still, and it's tough because I had pretty significant recency bias. I was on such a high, and you know what it's like. You're one of the few people that can relate, because the community around it was so big and so successful at that. The show was getting really great ratings and had such amazing creative freedom from the network, that the community around that show, the post episode discussion on Reddit was amazing. The amount of Easter eggs, the amount of callbacks and themes and just little things that they were sticking and that people were finding along the way were amazing. And being a part of that was so fun. So I think I came off of that show with a euphoria high, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's one of the best things of all time, easily. It's in my, I don't know how I feel about it now, but I know that, because I've never done a rewatch, but I know that I was really, really, really high on that show the whole way through.
And it's kind of nice because like I said, I took this time off, so it's not like I had a full year between 2 seasons like you had when you were watching it week to week. But this is going to be a very specific thing, a specific gripe. But I never fully understood the character of Tyrell. Is it Wellick?
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck is this dude's deal? And then, I just watched that episode. It's essentially him alone at the cabin for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And watching him, and that's the thing too. It's they could have just had him devolve into madness, but they showed someone with tenacity and trying to survive and I was like, this is how you sell a character, folks. This is some good shit.
Yeah.
It was really, really good TV. And just Mr. Robot. Good stuff.
I believe season 3 introduces a couple of really fun characters.
Bobby Cannavale is in it now. He's a good character so far.
Who does he play? Is he Mustache?
He's maybe, I don't know. He's the guy with the glasses. He's the fixer. He's the one who's kind of bossing everyone around.
He's amazing in it. There's a law enforcement character named Dominic, redhead.
Oh, the girl from the FBI. Yes,
great character. You would have seen from last season rather. Is it Joey Badass?
The guy from prison.
Yeah, the guy from prison.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you see him anymore, but I remember he had some great moments in season 2. He was my phone background for a while because they used him really cool.
He popped up in the episode that I just saw. It's Bobby Cannavale's character is interviewing him in prison or talking to him in prison.
Yeah.
And so how's it goes? And he goes on this tangent, and or Joey Badass's character goes on a tangent, And Bobby's just kind of like, no, like I'm talking about this. And he's like, yeah, and it's like they let him run for like 2 minutes of a monologue, and then it's like, no, you dummy, like I'm not talking about that, like this other thing. And he's like, oh yeah, like I love, it's such an easy joke, like it's been done, but it was just so effectively well done here.
Yeah, man, it's I'm excited for you to get through it. Man, that's another one I've gotta get kicking on a rewatch for, because I loved Mr. Robot. Cool.
It's good shit.
I'm trying to think of what else I have, and there ain't a lot. What do you got? Do you have anything else?
I got one little thing. It's just a little anecdote. I've read the book. My favorite movie of all time is Jurassic Park.
The original.
The original.
Obviously. Like, no, actually, that Chris Pratt one really changed my life.
Oh, my God.
That'd be pretty good.
No, I do like the original 2 sequels, mind you. Lost World and the third one. Again, same thing. Prequel. Star Wars prequel effect. But, no, the original one, all-time favorite. I've read the book, like, 6 times. And, I've slowly, for so long, I've been so, like, pig-headed about, like, not bothering with audiobooks. And I finally kind of started flirting with them a little bit this year. I've been listening to Dune. Again, that's another book I've read a few times, and listening to it as an audiobook, it kind of like opened things up. I was like, oh, this is like a really interesting way of seeing the story again. Kind of similar to Demon Slayer. I think that's kind of what got these things in my mind, of like seeing Demon Slayer on a different perspective, like bigger screen and all that. Yeah. So anyways, I started listening to the Jurassic Park audiobook. It's like I'm reading it for the first time again, like genuinely. Just the guy reading it to you, kind of just kicking back. I know the parts, I know the flow, so it's like I know what's coming, but it's interesting to hear the way like the narrator will hit a certain note. And there was a moment, like the famous scene of like when the T-Rex, attacks the cars, on the main path, when like all the power goes down in the park.
Yep.
In the book, it's terrifying. In the movie, it's terrifying. I was outside just, enjoying the night. It was completely dark out. I had my headphones in, listening to the book. And I was like, super spooked out listening to that part, like just hanging out in the yard. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun going back to that. But
I grew up on the Harry Potter books. And then Stephen Fry did the audiobooks that I still have.
Oh, really? That would be a good listen.
And I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know if it was a licensing thing, but they got re-recorded by another guy who's fine. But
it's not Stephen Fry.
But he's not Stephen Fry, and Stephen Fry was in my nostalgia bank, right? And so I still have them. But he crushes. He's amazing at it, and I just want to echo the exact same thing. Like, I had read those books, dozens of times, and then I remember listening to the audiobooks for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, everything's different. Like, it's like a new vantage point from the story. Like, he does he has different voices for every character, and he does a really good job at it. And it comes to life in a very, very different way. Yeah. Audiobooks are a fucking hoot and a half.
Yeah, I got a few queued up. I'm gonna jump into the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I think. Ooh. After this.
I read the first book for the first time this year.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, great stuff.
Fantastic.
There's a reason. Like, there's a reason, Like, it is.
Yeah, they should do it. They should, like, try and convert those to movies.
Yeah. I should find some guy in New Zealand to direct them. They might.
You know what's crazy about that, just as a tiny point, is, like, you should... there's obviously so much content on the Lord of the Rings trilogy and, like, bonus features and all that crap. But I'm sure there's a write-up somewhere, or it might just be in the bonus features. But I watched this thing about just everything that those movies had going against them. Like, it would have made more sense if they failed spectacularly, because, like, Peter Jackson was still figuring out story as he's shooting. They recast Aragorn 2 weeks before he started shooting.
Who's supposed to play him?
So, they don't say. I'm sure we could Google. I'm sure we could find it. But I think they believe they said that he was too old or too young. I think they said they went too young.
But so then in the books, he's like 90 or like in his 80s. Yeah, is he not?
But he's meant to look young, old, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, like, and they get Viggo, and he's got like a couple weeks. to train, and his first scene is the scene on Weathertop fighting the 9 Nazgul.
That was his first scene shot?
First scene.
Wow.
Yeah. They were, over budget, underprepared. The studio was like, "Are you sure this is going to work out?" And Peter Jackson's like, "Oh, yeah, it'd be fine, probably, I reckon." Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just issues all over the place. They have to figure out the framing, right, to make the hobbits look small. Yeah. They have to do all this inventive camera work, and it's not like it was the first time it was done. But anyway, that film had so many challenges. And it's still the only film out there to sweep the Oscars 11 for 11. That's Return of the King, of course. And also, one of the first films ever to shoot a trilogy all at once.
Really?
Like, yeah. It's
first time to do that. Wow.
I don't know if it's one of the first, but I'm just saying, like, it set so many historic benchmarks. And they just kind of didn't really have their shit together, but, like, the passion was there, lightning in a bottle, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
They still nailed it. It didn't really matter.
Which one's your favorite?
It's hard to... I think younger me would have said Fellowship of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it definitely still holds a place in my heart. But I remember the ending really dragging for Return of the King. But,
sure.
I rewatched it recently. And maybe it's just, like, my older, sadder eyes, but I really loved the ending of Return of the King.
Return of the King?
And I remember being like, I can't believe, like, they took the time to do the drawn out part, because I remember being in the theater and being like, I gotta pee. The ring's already destroyed. Why are we still here 20 minutes later? Let's move. But, like, that whole bit about Frodo just deciding to leave and passing it on to Sam, and that whole, like, just because the journey's over doesn't mean, like, it's fun and games now.
Sure.
It was just, like, this really sobering, like, Jesus Christ, like, what we've just been through an ordeal as an audience, and also, like, you feel like you kind of went through it with them, and I think, like, that kind of changed it for me. But I think the short answer is I've gone through phases where every single movie has been my favorite at one point in my life, because the Helm's Deep battle and the second one is so good.
Well, it's like, no question. I don't even need to think about it. Two Towers has always been my favorite.
Yeah.
I fucking love that one. They're all great, but Two Towers is shit.
I love the Fellowship coming together. I love, like...
Yeah.
I love, how you can introduce a character like Boromir and have him be sketchy the whole time and still be upset when he dies in a feature-length film. It's incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
And the fact that these characters have a rapport, but they're only together for one movie. Like, like the Fellowship's together for a total of like an hour. You know what I mean? But they're in this 9-hour journey. It like all works, and it all feels like you just want them to be together again.
Mm-hmm.
It's anyway. Thanks for listening to the Lord of the Rings podcast. But no, it's good shit, man.
Good tangent. I love a good tangent.
I love a good tangent. Is that a good place to leave it for this week?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Man, thank you guys for listening. This is like the end of a chapter where, we close the chapter on My Hero Academia Season 5. The post-show continues, as we've said several times. We'll be here every Friday, every week. Maybe we'll release a little bit earlier if we keep the same schedule. Who knows? Just watch the feed. There will be content. Thank you for listening. Support the podcast on whatever social media platform you deem fit. Like, follow, comment, subscribe. Do whatever the hell you want. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.